Langston said, life ain't been no crystal stair. And he was right. 58 years in. 58 incredible years in. And I can indeed confirm that it's been some carpet, some tacks, some splinters, and a whole lot of everything going on anyway. So here's what I know. I know I cry at commercials. Birthday cards too. Sometimes I have to put them down when I'm at the store and walk away because I'm not about to do all of that, to do all that crying in the greeting card aisle of whatever store that we are not boycotting. I am goofy. I am intelligent. And I am regal. And I'm a complete mess. Sometimes in the same afternoon. And I have spent a good portion of my life trying to figure out how all of this, everything lives in one person. But it just does. It just does. That's the first thing that 58 years has taught me. I call this 58 things, give or take. Not because I counted, but because after 58 years, these are the things that seem to hold. You are not just one thing. You are not the version people first met. You are not the role that you've been playing in someone else's story. You're also not the worst thing that has happened to you or the best thing that you ever did. You're all of it. The contradiction, the complexity, the parts that don't make sense together until you stop trying to make them make sense and just let them be yours. You're all of it. And in that, I know that I am everything. And I also know that I am nothing in the grand scheme of it all. And somehow, both of those things, they are completely true at exactly the same time. Because life is like that. It's big and it's small. It's serious and it's so bloody ridiculous. It will break your heart and show you something beautiful sometimes in the same moment. I've learned that everyone goes through something. I gotta say that again because I think we forget it. I think we forget it when we're in the middle of our own thing. Everybody. The ones who look unbothered, the ones whose lives look certain from the outside. Those ones you scroll past and think, man, they really got it together. They are going through something. Or they have been. Or they will be. And most of them, they kept going anyway. I think that's the part that doesn't get said enough. Not that life is hard, because we know that. But that people keep going through it. Without announcement, without anyone handing them anything for staying in it. And that's resilience. It's not that type of resilience that looks like it's heroic. It's that kind that shows up again and again the next day, gets up, tries again. And we keep moving even when it feels like it is so impossible to do. even when you can't see past where you are right now. And coming off of that, I want to say that where you are right now is not where you will always be. And I know that it can be hard to feel, especially when you're right in the middle of it, when the weight of it all is just so real and on you and present, and it's sitting right on top of you. I'm not asking you to pretend that it isn't. You need to feel it and be in it and let it be what it is. But also know this moment is not your forever. That fog that you're standing in is not the whole landscape. It's just what you can see from here. And tenacity, the quiet, unglamorous kind, is the decision to keep traveling anyway. Not because you can see the destination, but because you've come too far to stop in the middle of the fog and call it the end of the road. You have not arrived at your ending yet. You are still in the middle of your story. And that matters. Knowing that, really knowing that, changes how you move through the world. It makes you a little more patient, a little more willing to give grace before you give judgment. Because you don't know what chapter someone is in. You're only seeing that particular page. Something else I've learned: feeling full is not the same as feeling happy. Happiness comes and goes. It's supposed to. And that's not a flaw in the design. But fullness, that sense that you are living something real, something genuinely you, genuinely yours, something that fits who you actually are, that is available even in those hard seasons, even in the fog. And that fullness starts with honesty with yourself, about yourself. Not those performative versions we put on sometimes. Not that version that you kick up when you're trying to keep things smooth and not rock the boat. The for real you. The one who has preferences and quirks and those specific things about you that make you light up or shut down or laugh too loud in places that are quiet. That version. Because here's what I know about parts of you that you're trying to minimize. They aren't the problem. They are the point. Because your specific brand of strange is not something to manage. It's something to follow. As long as it's genuinely you, as long as it's not hurting anyone, do whatever you want with your life. I mean that. And I say that not to be reckless with it, not without thinking about what you're doing, but freely be yourself without requiring anyone around you who has an opinion to understand it. They don't need to understand it before you're allowed to live it. You can end up so sad and unfulfilled and mismatched when you're trying to live a version of your life to meet someone else's expectations. It doesn't work. It's not full. But you also got to understand they don't owe that to you either. It goes both ways. I know that we see things from where we are, from our own history, from our own wounds, from our own particular point or angle in the world. And from that angle, other people's choices can look strange or wrong or like something that we would never do. But their life is not being lived from your angle. So let it be theirs. You gotta give people room to be exactly where they are on their own road. It's the same that you would want. You got to use your whole self to navigate your world, your head, your heart, not one instead of the other, both, the logic and the feeling, the reason and the instinct, the analysis and the gut. And stay informed widely, even by things you disagree with, especially by things you disagree with, because a full picture is always more useful than a comfortable one. And then lead with love, on purpose, not the naive kind, not at the expense of yourself. And that last part matters, because I have spent too long leaving myself out of that equation. Now you want love that includes you, that starts with you, and that doesn't require you to disappear in order to be given. That kind. On purpose. Eyes open. Every day you can manage it. Something else worth saying out loud is, you are not the same person you were 15 minutes ago. Something shifted. Something always shifts. And what you wanted, what you thought you knew, can change completely because you changed completely. And that's not weakness, not failure, and it's not indecision. That's being alive. Because you are allowed to morph and to outgrow and to arrive somewhere different than you thought you were headed. The destination changes because you change. And that flexibility to follow that while staying clear about what you actually want, what you actually need, and what actually matters to you, it's not a contradiction. It's wisdom. So be flexible in how it comes. Stay clear about what you're moving for, what you're moving towards. And recognize how much power you actually have over your own life. Not over the world, not other people, not over circumstances that you did not choose, but how you show up in it, how you see yourself, how you speak to yourself, and how you present to the world. Whether it's loud and glaring or soft and steadily present. Both are valid. Both are yours. Just make sure it's actually you that shows up and doing the choosing. I don't have this all figured out. I want to be clear about that. I am still halting and still distracted, still working through things I thought I would have resolved by now. Still almost crying in the greeting card aisle. But I am here. I am full. Not perfect. Not finished. Not without fog. But full. In my individuality, in my contradictions, in my everything and my nothingness. You know, if I could go back and talk to that little girl again, to that young woman, that version of me, who was already carrying more than she should. I tell her one thing. Be confident. Let the voices that come from outside of you go around you. Like you're walking into the wind and it parts for you because it has to. Listen to what serves you. Leave the rest. And if it doesn't feel right, don't do it because someone else said that you had to. You don't. You don't. She became me. And I am still becoming. And that, after 58 years, it's enough. Sit with yourself there and continue traveling.